All right, guys. I just wanted to do another video and discuss something that is kind of at the very core of overcoming social anxiety, or at least making pretty significant progress against it. The thing that I wanted to talk about that's kind of at the base and the start of overcoming social anxiety is what we call ants, or automatic negative thoughts. So this is kind of at the beginning of learning to overcome social anxiety, learning to make significant progress against it. Basically what it is you're taking the initiative and the effort to consciously focus on the types of thoughts that are circulating in your mind, and the types of thoughts that you're thinking when you're in these situations that cause your social anxiety to flare up and just cause you to be socially anxious. Kind of at the very core of starting to overcome social anxiety is starting to pay more attention, conscious attention to these ants, and to just kind of put that mentality at the forefront of your mind. So what you want to do is when you go out in these social situations and you kind of have these feelings that kind of come up of you have the adrenaline rush, you've got the anxiety, you've got all these feelings. Well, underneath the surface, beneath all of that, it all started with negative thoughts. And these negative thoughts are thoughts that you have latched onto and either consciously or subconsciously chosen to believe. So thoughts that maybe that you're inferior to the people that you're around, or that hey, I must look stupid, or everyone's looking at me and judging me, or people don't like the way I talk, or just a variety of things that are completely irrational, but things that we've latched onto, and whether we like it or not, we've chosen to believe. In my life, I can specifically remember when I was in high school, and I remember thinking this automatic negative thought that came to my mind that said, if you're not exercising, you shouldn't sweat, which is totally stupid, right? Because I sweat randomly, like if I'm watching a scary movie, anytime. If I'm mowing the lawn, whatever, even if I'm just sitting down at work, I'll be sweating. There's no rhyme or reason to it necessarily. So to have that rigid belief system, right, that rigid belief that I shouldn't sweat if I'm not working out, that's only going to create a belief, a core belief within me, one of many, that contributes to social anxiety. So basically, what you want to do is when you go out into these situations, you want to kind of pay more attention to what's going on in your mind and try to uncover some of these automatic negative thoughts that might be coming to your mind. I know it's pretty tough to discover that at first, and it definitely takes practice, because I remember when I first saw a therapist and they said, do you have like negative thoughts, or do you think negatively about yourself? And I'm like, no, I don't have negative thoughts. I just have anxiety. Like that just comes to me automatically. Like I don't choose to have adrenaline rushes and anxious thoughts when I go into these situations, right? But the truth is that beneath all that, it all started with a thought that you just chose to believe, and that seemed true at the time based on some sort of experience in your life or whatever. And so because of that thought then led to a belief, and that belief led to actions and feelings. So what you're experiencing now, or what we're experiencing with social anxiety, is you go into these situations and you feel the anxiety, right? That's the biggest thing, is you feel it, and you don't want to feel it, right? That's what you want to remove, is that feeling. Well, to remove that feeling, we have to go all the way back to the start of, okay, what's our thinking like? We need to fix our thinking and the way we think about ourselves, and the way we think about how we interact with the world and the world around us. So what you want to do is, first things first, just start practicing recognizing these negative thoughts that circulate in your mind, not just in social interactions, but just in everyday life. Start to recognize those and start to just gently question them, question the validity, right? We don't want to just say that they're not true, because although that might be true, that they're false, our brain has believed those things for, in my case, many, many years. So to do that, your brain is going to say, no, like, this is the truth. This is what you've told me. This is 100% the truth. So I'm not going to just believe something new, right? Our brain wants to have a belief system and it wants to hold on to that forever, essentially. So what you want to do is just really gently question it and say, how true is it that people everywhere are staring at me while I'm in line, right? Well, how can I challenge that? I can just kind of look around, pretend I'm scratching my head or my neck, and kind of look around and just gently glance around and see, what's really going on around you. That's something that is called the look around technique. So when you keep your eyes fixed in one direction and you start to think, oh man, everyone's eyes are on me and people are judging me, and you start to think that everyone around you has it out to get you and that they want to criticize you and just basically crucify you for whatever you're doing, even if you're doing nothing. Your brain can find a reason, right? But what you want to do is just gently look around and start to see, hey, are people really looking at me? Do people really care that I'm standing in line at the bank or at the counter, right? Like at the checkout counter, sometimes I'll get anxiety where, my brain's like, oh, these negative thoughts of the people behind you want you to hurry up. You're taking too long. They're judging you. They don't like you, right? All these thoughts, and they just bombard me. And when I stop and say, do I do that to anybody when they're in front of me, right? Like, am I there to judge people? No, you're just waiting in line. It's a part of life. You wait. Some people are more impatient than others, that's for sure. But that's something where we have to learn that that's their problem, right? If they're impatient, that's not our problem. If you're going through the line and you're doing the normal things that you're doing when you're checking out, that's okay. Everyone does that. So things like that, where you start to challenge those thoughts and you realize that really you can just push it over with your finger. I mean, it's nothing but a lie. So anyway, long story short, as you go through the next week, just really focus on going into these situations, and the anxiety might come up still. I mean, it's something that is automatic, right? It's the way our brain is wired right now, which changes over time through consistent effort in doing these things. But the first thing you want to start doing is just trying to stay conscious, right? All this stuff is going on subconsciously. Like, I think 95% of our decision making during the day is subconscious. So your brain is making these decisions based on your history of these different experiences and social interaction, right? Your brain has been wired a certain way, whether we like it or not. So what we want to start doing is, like I said, just kind of go into these situations, use that 5% of your conscious decision making, and before you go to work, before you go to the grocery store, to the gas station, whatever it is, wherever you start to get anxiety, just say out loud to yourself, okay, when I'm going into this situation, I'm going to just try to be conscious of my thoughts as best I can. I don't need to be perfect, even if I don't succeed the first time, or if I catch just one negative thought, but then I get bombarded, that's okay. All these things come with time and practice. So just take this time this week to go into these situations and do the best you can, but know that you don't need to be perfect, right? Perfectionism is something that kind of goes along with social anxiety. So just remember that we don't need to be perfect. There's no perfect way to do therapy. There's no perfect way to overcome social anxiety or just make significant progress against it. Everyone's story is different and everyone's progress looks different. So just take time this week to go into these situations and try to stay conscious of thoughts that are coming across your mind, and maybe write them down after the fact, and start to just say like, wow, I didn't know these questions were running through my head. And then start to just kind of question them and say, how true is it that people are judging me, or how true is it that, and just insert your negative thought there, basically. So anyway, that's something that I want to discuss. So yeah, thanks.